Well, it might be good morning by the time you get this. You should relax because this is a marathon. Many people are trying to make that big sum of money. Strike that home run, get this big deal, get this special financial hack so they can sit down and do nothing. That's what's predicating this hopelessness. There are many people who don't feel that they're going to live long enough. They don't feel that this is obtainable. They don't feel that it's worth it. They don't want to put in the work because they don't think that it's going to pay off. One of the biggest problems that we have on the internet is everything is a quick fix. It's become so epidemic that if you think or you feel that you haven't achieved or have the money you want by a certain age, that you failed. One of the biggest things that's happening is the FIRE movement, Financial Independence, Retire Early. I believe that's it, which is a bunch of young people who are retiring at 25, 30, 35. But here's the rub. They're not retiring. There are 3 stages to getting wealthy. First stage, financial independence. What is financial independence? You reclaim your time. When you can make money and still have a somewhat flexible or free schedule, you're financially independent. That is not retirement. The second part of getting rich is actually getting rich. Having an income that is 10 to 20 times higher than the average income. You're rich. You're not wealthy. And getting wealthy is having assets that make you money whether you get up or not. And this is long term, such as real estate, such as older stocks that pay dividend. Now you're wealthy. But before you can become rich, you need to become financially independent. And that's why this is a marathon. And this is why we're going to be very specific with the language and the terminology. The other day I did a live stream and someone said, hey, I made 500 or 5,000 an hour. And I asked this person exactly how did they do it? Because there are many ways that you can make $500 in the stock market in an hour. You can own a stock, then it appreciates and goes up. You've technically made $500 in an hour on paper. And until you sell that stock, you've not had money that you can spend. You've made money, not misinformation, half information. Someone to come out here and say, hey, I did X, Y, and Z, and you'll do X, Y, and Z, but they won't tell you about A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. They'll just tell you about X, Y, and Z. So you're going out here operating on half or maybe 10% of the information and wondering like, how come I didn't get those results? Because they didn't tell you everything. And that's why this is a marathon. First of all, you must become financially independent, meaning the ability to earn money and not have to punch a time clock. If you make 40K, right? Let's say you have a small e-commerce business and you run your ship very tightly. It takes you 5 hours a day to run that business. So you're actually making more than you're making the 40K because 5 hours, that gives you what? 10 hours to do something else. One of the biggest things that the internet has done is it has allowed stay-at-home moms to make an income equal or in many cases greater than their husband to the point that their husbands quit their job and join the wife in her business. And you want to know why? The same reason that the 16, 17, 18, 19, 20-year-olds are coming up. They have someone else paying all the bills while they're able to devote 100% of their time to growing their business. Say a wife, she's a mother, so she has not the freedom of a 16-year-old, but still she has freedom because she's taking care of that kid. And as someone who had children and took care of them, you know what they do? They sleep. So while they're asleep, you can be working. They go to sleep in the middle of the day and they go to sleep at night. And then you have this flexible schedule, you have someone else paying the bills, then you can really, really grow your business. And a lot of people don't really give credence to that bill payer, whether it's a husband, a family member, a parent. This is Gary Vee. He likes to go off and say, hey, My father had this $3 million per year business, and I've had arguments with people on the internet. I know how hard it is to make $3 million. 99% of the country will never make $3 million in a year. 99.99% of the country will never make $1 million per year.
So it was a small $3 million business.
No, it wasn't. It was quite significant, and it was a great help to Gary Vee. Whether he wants to own up to it or not, it's real. I did not have a parent to give me a $3 million business. I went the long way around. Part of the misinformation, because we have egos and we have people who don't really want to delve into the truth. There are many of you out there, if you got to walk into a $3 or $10 million business, and then this person who built this business schooled you, you'd probably be successful. Just facts. This is where the marathon thing comes in. Depending upon where you are on the age scale, you're going to have, wait for it, a 2 to 5 year window where you're going to work very hard and you're not going to make a lot of money. I'm being silent because this is what I did. But see, I did it on my first business. And this is another thing. For those of you who have started businesses and then you stopped, you lose. But if you start a business, it doesn't work out, you take those lessons that you learned from the first business and apply them to the second. Or in my case, I had to apply it to the sixth business. And that actually made money, but it didn't make as much money as it could have because I needed more seasoning. You'll start to find yourself feeling more comfortable because the things that come to you, they look very similar. It's like, oh, I've seen this before, and I'll do this and this and this, and I'll get around that problem, or I'll handle this situation. But as a raw, naked entrepreneur with no seasoning, you could be brilliant. You're going to have 150K in the bank. You're still going to fail because you don't know what you don't know. First 5 businesses, I was in the military, failed. And then that 6th business, I took all of those lessons, and this was GC Solutions, the new furniture business, and I made a profit my first year. But strange thing happened. I was selling used office furniture, and I made way more money selling less product because of the margins. And that was a very important lesson. I learned the value of margin. I am a margin beast. I would rather sell 250K worth of product and have a margin that's $200,000 versus selling $2 million and having a margin of 10%, which is like, it's the same money. It's the same money, but you have to sell so much more. And if you don't sell that much more, you're going to have problems, and there's going to be consequences because Amazon don't play fair. Amazon like the honey badger. Honey badger don't care, and they will stick you for your paper. So this is where I'm at. And it takes, once again, 2 to 5 years for you to get experience, not figure some stuff out. You can figure out some stuff just like that. But to get experience, it's going to take time. It's going to take exposure. Hence, this is a marathon. Hence, this is why I talk to my younger people. If you're 16, this is when you need to start, bro. A lot of you just spend all day playing video games. And some of you will become video game gamer, full-time gamers, making 6 figures, possibly 7 figures. I'm going to give you a stat here. I looked it up this morning. I want you to guess how many $1 million homes are in the United States. Just take a wild guess. Now we'll tell you why. And I also want you to guess how many homes, not $1 million homes, but all of the homes that are in the United States. Now think about that and put your comments in the comments. With these people who are hitting it, who are being really successful, the internet kind of does something remarkable. It takes the rare and then spits it out of the machine and makes it seem to be normal. Gary Vee, $3 million business. Donald Trump, a small $1 million loan. You have these people, because of their egos, essentially lying to you. because it's like, oh, it's a small $1 million loan, right? So many parents should be able to do that for their kids because it's a small loan. Or, hey, my dad had a $3 million business. I should be able to go to my parents because, starting a $3 million business ain't nothing, right? Here is the big problem with that. This information is setting you up to fail because it's not giving you the full picture. You're getting a snapshot of a moment. You're not getting the full movie. You're not getting the full reel. And this is a big problem in a limited attention dynamic population. Many of you, your attention span is about that long. And it's because you've been programmed for it to be that long. Now, let's talk about these houses. Hopefully you put your comments, your guesses. How many $1 million pieces of property are in the United States? And how many houses are in the United States or households? All right. There's $2.6 million or greater homes. 2.6 million. Sounds like a lot. And if I was just to give you that snapshot, you might be gassed up. But hold on. This is your Uncle G. This is your hustling godfather. I'm going to give you the full picture. I'm going to give you the full movie. There's 126 million houses or households in America. So when you take 2.6 and you divide it into that 126 million household, you get 2% of the population, or really 1.8%. 1.8% out of 126 million homes is not a lot. But if you just look at that 2.6 million, you'd be like, yeah, I can do that. I can get my million. I can get my mansion. Because you don't get the full picture. But when you get the full picture, then that anyone living in a $1 million home, that's super remarkable unless you're New York or California. Okay, let's be real. The average person to afford a $1 million home has done something that 98% of the country has not. Wait a minute. Let's go into the world. If you were to do this from a global perspective, it gets worse because most of the world is poor. So it becomes not even 1%. It's a fraction of a percent if you were to include the rest of the world. And I give you this information because what we're going to do here at Money, Income, and Profit is give you the full picture, because when you get better information, you make better decisions. And one of the biggest problems I have with a lot of people is they're giving you part of the picture, part of the information, and you're making complete decisions based on false narratives. And then you're frustrated and you're like, how come this isn't working? Last night, live stream, someone's like, I've been watching you. I finally took action and I made $800 just picking up stuff off the curb. Go ahead, you can check it. It's the last video before this one. $800 free. Just going around picking up discarded stuff and selling it and flipping it on Craigslist. But many of you are too good for that. I've noticed something, that there are people who are broke, will not work fast food, will not work in a temp agency, will not do hard labor. And they're broke. And I'm like, why are these people who are broke refuse to do work? Because they have someone taking care of them. That's why. Because if they didn't have anyone taking care of them, our homeless population would explode. You've got that dynamic to deal with, that people, and once again, this isn't even your fault. This became because the No Child Left Behind Act. Everyone should go to college. No one should be an electrician. No one should be a plumber. No one should be a welder. Everybody needs to go to college. And look what happened. We have millions and millions of people with massive, outrageous student loan debt that most of them will never be able to pay off. That is a bad situation. And that's why this is a marathon. You're going to have to do some things you don't want to do for 2 to 5 years to get the things you want, to get to do the things that you want to do for the rest of your life. At some point, you're going to have to pay the price. It can, preferably, it'll be when you're young, but you're 50, you're 60, and you got to pay that 5-year price.